Is it celebrating something?
Who's that?
Over there, the noise they're making.
Oh, just playing sport. Evening, Tony. I sense some movement in the force.
Oh, I thought it was later than 8:30.
How are you, mate? The security camp was put up today. The red eye in them at night time. Looks a bit like HAL 9000 out of Space Odyssey. Yeah. It's a bit cooler tonight, but it's been a beautiful day. We've been painting, waiting for our daughter to drop a bundle. Should be soon. She's in the hospital. Any day now. Yes, I'm afraid. Yes, Tony, I'm glad you came and saw me. Sit down, that's right. Blood pressure, oh my God, it's so high. Don't tell me what you've been doing yet. Let me look. You've got cat fur all over the back of your hands. Not sure what that's about. And you've got speaker wire wrapped around your waist with a small CCTV and a small battery. Right. And you've sort of got goat hair where it shouldn't be.
What?
There's rash all over your body. Not sure what you've been watching, but you have to stop it. Take 2 of these 14 times a day with meals. It's only so much of insane that you can really watch because it becomes repetitive. Mysterious and hidden trolls. Oh, yeah. It sounds then that you're going to continue the punishment. Have you thought about self-flagellation with large spikes on chains and walk on your knees and just keep thrashing yourself? Yes, we call that a handball here. Not sure if you know the chap who built the tiny crap on wheels. It's quite a famous outcome, but I'm not sure if you remember that. Went to give him a hand and then ended up doing all the work himself. But eventually he turned on the weird man in the meadow. Yes. He let rip on him. So did his wife. Used and abused. Still, if you've must continue to watch. You'll see the whole story. That's right, this is the missus going to shop for a pizza on a motorbike. Oh, I think she just shot someone. Here she comes. Hope she hasn't got the mozzarella all spilt out the back. Well, I feel Melbourne, along with the rest of Victoria, will be shut down shortly. I can't see it sustaining those numbers. We do it a bit different in Australia. The whole state will close. There's just too many nongs in Melbourne. Oh, she's right, mate. Yeah, I'm feeling good. No worries. Yeah, I'm just going to go to Sydney and go to party and spread the good word to everyone, along with the virus. Some more Chinese infliction today. China confronted the Australian Navy in the South China Sea. Yeah, it's been going on for a while. It's a weird setup. I mean, the South China Sea is actually closer to the Philippines, Taiwan and Vietnam. All of those countries claim that area as their own, fishing rights, the islands, etc. But about 5 years ago, China moved in, filled in all the atolls with soil and created military bases there, just saying that it's theirs. It's not recognised by any body around the world. So the Australian Navy was doing an exercise around the island because it's open waters, but China says it's their waters. So 2 large warships of China came up to the 4 Australian warships and didn't do anything, just, 200 or 300 metres apart. China is swinging the big axe and all over the place. India, Taiwan. I know Mike Pompeo, which I don't really like him that much. He's the guy in the US, Mike Pompeo. Let's see what he has to say about it. Something went wrong. Reload. Here we go. The US Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. Sounds like an eruption to me. Pompeo calls on the free world to unite against Chinese tyranny. It's going the way I thought it would go. There'll be political pressure, standoffs. Then we hear yesterday that US closed an embassy of China in the US, and today the Chinese closed the US embassy in Chengdu, told the US consulate to get out. So it's getting a bit messy. Yep, China orders United States to close consulate in Chengdu just because the US closed one in the US. Kind of coronavirus news in the US. US infection rates hit 4 million. Staggering figure. There's a lot of closures and lockdowns happening around the world, Tony. Norway has reached a point where they've now reimposed a 10-day quarantine. India has put another quarantine lockdown in place. Yes. It's turning to shit everywhere. I think we're reaching a tipping point because most of the planet is going broke and jobs don't exist. People looking for work must be just sort of scratching their head. Where do I look? Of course, Ivana Trump, who's the daughter of President Trump, said last week, just make it happen. Just go and do something different. Even though there's 1 million people becoming unemployed every week in the US, she's just saying, just make it happen. Hello, Patty. It's just like a bad movie.
Boy.
The spikes of the virus all around the world. This is, a lot of people say, oh, second wave. No, it's not. It's not the second wave. It's not the second wave in the US. It's the same wave. And there's some terrible places around the world that are copying it bad. South Africa, they're not even telling the truth. But I hope you qualify to get some, Paddy. If you're going to be dismissed, you're unemployed, which qualifies you. See, Congress looks like they're going to pass $1 trillion bill. It was going to be $3 trillion, but now it's $1 trillion. Not sure if those checks are going to be as big as people think they're going to be, though. But there are spikes all around the world. This was never going to go away. As someone famously said earlier, it'll just go away. Just disappear. Like magic. But I'm pretty sure, like say, Victoria will be closed down, I think by Monday. is, and I don't think it'll be a 3-week lockdown. I think it'll be 6, at least 6. You see, you can't tell the population to do certain things but not do other things. There's too many buffheads, particularly in Melbourne and Victoria. So you got to say, right, you can't go anywhere. Back to where you were. One person from the family can go shopping. You need to go to the doctor, no worries. But that's about it. Stay home. And they got to come hard down on these bastards, just ignoring it. None of this, oh, slap on the wrist, don't do that again, son. Don't go to Sydney and spread the virus, you bad boy. You go home. No. You do that, I reckon 21-day locker. I'm an ex-prison officer. I can see the terror on their face as they're coming in. I'm being locked up because I'm a buffhead. Yeah, mate, you are. 21 days. Don't drop the soap, son. You know what I mean. Don't catch the virus or nothing. Yeah, I'd be harsh on them. I'd just throw them in the clink for 21 days. Put them in remand. They get out to exercise for 1 hour a day. 3 meals. Wow, meals of sorts. And you will make your bed, and you will shower, and you will clean your cell, and you'll do other duties. Like clean the windows of the wing. Yeah. Or clean the showers. Well, you don't like it, son? Oh, okay. Well, we'll take you out of your normal cell, and we have a thing called the MPC. It's called a multi-purpose cell. Two or three types. One, there's just no windows, and you get locked in there. Another one is a padded cell, where we put you in like a cardboard suit. And, yeah, your choice. I've never been one to say people should be punished for a mistake. I don't believe in that. I do believe people should be punished if they keep repeating the same mistake, because they're not learning. And this mistake is a sad one because it can cost people's lives. It's a bit like manslaughter when you think about it. There's quite a lot of ethnicity in the greater Melbourne area, and there are generations of families living in the one home. So young buffheads going out to party, and then coming home and kissing Nonna goodnight and shaking and hugging Papa. And then 2 or 3 weeks later, they're burying them. I'm glad you enjoyed your night out. You don't get another Nonna and Papa. You do get another night out, of course, but you don't get to hug your grandparents anymore. And I looked at some of the figures coming out of Sydney. They're definitely related to Melbourne. You just cannot deny it. So Sydney will be, New South Wales will probably make the decision for Victorians about a lockdown. They'll just say, you're not coming in. That's it. See you in January. See, no one questions WA now. We were copping shit for about 2 or 3 months there. Open your borders, you bastard. Let us in. No. Come on. No. Why? Because we're not ready yet. We know you buggers are going to play up and get it, so we don't want it. That's why we can have 30,000 people at a footy ground. That's why it's basically back to normal. Everyone's working. So, no. And then, of course, the other states said, oh, we better close our borders now. Really? What? Have the car accident and then close the borders? Yeah, that's a good idea. People here still social distance. There's dots everywhere in all the shops. And everyone just stands on them. It actually makes it a bit more orderly, to be honest. So everyone bunching up or someone sneaking in actually stops those buggers jumping the queue. And everyone's just playing it smart. Just because it's not here at the moment, we realise at the moment it's not here. Doesn't mean it's not going to come here again. Yeah, I just hate to see New South Wales blow up. That affects basically a third of the country's population and stuffs everything up. And I can even see Queensland jumping ahead of New South Wales. So I tell you what, closing our borders again. I think one of the fundamental differences from Australia's reaction to the US, I don't see anything happen in the US except the leader of the nation saying, I'll leave it up to the governors, and then some governors saying, I'll leave it up to the counties, and then some counties saying, we'll leave it up to the mayor. No one's taking responsibility. Do you know what I mean? Here at the top, they're just saying, it's not happening, close it down. Maybe it won't get cold this year, probably not. I told you the stat in April in WA, because about 40 people die every year. Well, this year, in April, the stats came out as 20 people got the flu and no one died. So we saved 40 lives by distancing. Oh, I just wouldn't have gone, Tony. See, I get it. People want to go somewhere. They want to get out and do something. So heading up the coast is what they do. Because you're not in the Banana Bend estate, they can come to you any time they like. I went up that way many years ago. Twice I've been around Australia. Young bloke, I went around. Byron Bay, you know, hippie colonies, all that sort of thing. It was great. A lot of dirt roads back in those days in the 70s. They had markets back then. But it certainly changed. I went up many, many years later. I thought, geez, what happened to this place? A lot of the places up there, Tony, end up turning into Porpoise Spit. You're awful. Are you real? But it was sad because it was, and the beaches were magnificent. Now, fucking houses everywhere. Knock them dunes down, put some houses up there, that's a good idea, yeah. Welcome to Porpoise Spit, where money counts and people don't. Staggering figure yesterday from the US, 1,000 people died. That is so tragic. They cut down the Camp Lawrence on the main street, the Arc Town, yeah. Yeah. Some bullfed councillor, so yeah, we can knock them down. No one really cares. Not pull them down. Yeah, stick up some bright neon signs saying, you're welcome. Bring your money. Don't worry about the locals, we'll tame them. I did the same in my old town. Probably parallel to you. If you look at Geraldton, Tony, go across from where you are to where Geraldton is, probably parallel. Semi-subtropical to a certain extent. And beautiful country town. I went there First got there in 1969. The beaches were just unbelievable. There was an old wharf. There was a great atmosphere in the town. About 5,000 people. I left in 2003 and there was a good 25,000 people. And now there's about 55,000 people. And it looks just like a suburb of any city. So, yeah, pretty sad. Progress is one thing, but just for profit, you know, it's all about backhanded councillors getting money, setting up things to suit themselves, ignoring the local traditions and people, and saying, bugger 'em, we'll just do it anyway. Flick of a pen, and like in your place, voila, concrete city. What can you do about it? Well, we're going to be brutally honest, bugger all. There's always corrupt and evil. Those that want will do. So what have you been up to, Paddy? What's been happening? Head concierge here, mate, it's nearly 500. Yeah, it's great. Yeah. No one should earn $500,000 a year. Okay, who you are. Some people have got their head so far up their own arse, they don't see anyone else. Medium-sized middle towns, they just don't care. Just been a little crazy. There's nothing wrong with being a little crazy, Paddy. A little crazy's okay. Sure, it would smell. Monchichi, g'day. Let me ask you, says Freedom. Yes, I'm listening, Patty. Yeah, camphor, that would certainly put a whiff in the air, Monchichi. Snakewood's good, it's got a nice smell. Sandalwood, even better. Camphor is beautiful to make boxes. Yeah, it's a bit pongy though, Tony. Let's be honest. If you were me, would you seek employment during this time? My answer to you, Paddy, if you don't have to, don't. I think it's one of those dilemmas. As long as you can marginally survive and not go down and under, if you don't have to work, I would suggest you do not. Nothing. Look, I mean, being scared is a natural instinct of your body. It's like when you hear big bang. You don't, run towards it most of the time. If there's big flames, you go away from it. So it's not really being scared, it's just being smart. If you asked me, if Trump said, "Sees, I'm going to send Air Force One to pick you up, bring you to America," I'd say, "Nah, she's right, mate. I don't want to. I'm safe here." Hello, VMAC. It's just complacency. You can look at it. We've had it happen in a state here in Victoria. 400 more cases today. None here where I live. And they're going to shut the whole state down. Without doubt, by Monday, it'll be closed. No one will be going out unless they're going to the shop or going to the doctor. That's it. They wouldn't listen. They went out and partied, had a good time, and are bringing the virus back to Granddad and Grandmum, and now they're burying them. I'll tell you what I would be doing, Paddy. I'd be thinking of things, yeah, I can get a job later. There's no problem. But I'd be thinking of things, what can I do for me, my husband, my family? What can I do to please me for a change? Because you haven't done that for a while. 7 years in that job, I think you told me. Would you a break? Have 3 or 4 months off. Kick back. take up painting. Or maybe get one of them clay wheels, chuck a bit of mud on there, and in come your husband. Oh, my love. Hello, Patty. My darling, I'm hungry for your... What? Oh, okay. I'll go mow the lawn.
I'm not in the room. Em's just saying
Big sister watching you.
she...
Big brother. It's just a term. I suppose it could be big sister, for sure.
Em's got a bit more pain. They've given her painkillers and they're going to assess her in about half an hour.
Oh, daughter's getting a bit of pain, bit of action in the hospital. Mate went to the market. It's got 2.5 back. Oh, yum. Oh, yum. Beautiful. I mean, parsnips here, I'm not kidding you. You can check if you like there, mate. $13 to $14 a kilo. I can't draw a social yet and don't want to take any money out of my retirement yet. Here's a good one for you, seeds of fruit. Oh, I love parsnips. I'd probably like make a nice base for, say, a steak. You wouldn't do that, but half parsnip, half mashed potato mixed in together. Butter, salt and pepper. Yum. They actually make good. You know those potato mock fish I make, really make? Parsnips in there work just as good. Right, Tony, have a good one, mate. Well, I mean, I don't care if they're ugly parsnips. Just cut the core out. You can freeze them. If I have a whole heap of parsnips like what you did, found on a bargain, I'd cut them in half, trim, take all the core out, probably in salted water, boiling for about 2 or 3 minutes, no more. Let them cool off, freeze them, shake them up. Yum. Parsnips in any sort of soup or stew. I put some in the other day in my lamb and vegetable soupy thing. Quite thick actually, it was yum. But the parsnips and the Swedes and the turnips, that makes the difference. Yeah, no, I don't. It's weird. I bought a 2 kilo bag of ugly carrots, which they all look straight to me. Have you seen them? They all look straight.
Yeah.
And they were $1. But to buy $1 of apparently straight carrots was $2. I said, "Oh, what do you think you're doing?
No,
Give me the ugly ones. They look straight anyway."
to buy a kilo of straight carrots was $2, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
And to buy...
2 kilos of ugly was $1.
They call it ugly, don't they?
But they weren't ugly. They were beautiful. Yeah, garlic butter. You got to have one, Monchichi. They have a natural caramelization. There's sugars, natural sugars in parsnips, but man, they taste good. Imagine telling your kids today, "I'm going to cook you up a good feed of parsnips." They go, "What?" There's probably something in that, Monchichi. This question does not fade. The unemployed, I will see a whopping week before taxes. Oh, look, I think they're going to have to dip into the piggy bank. I think you'll be looking at something between 300 and 600 a week.
Yeah, we like getting good deals, too, mate.
Yes, I'm always hunter-gathering when I go to the supermarket or market. Oh, look, ugly carrots. I'll show you something in a second. Right, let me take you for a little walk. A little walk, not a long one. You won't get tired. You may get dizzy, but you won't get tired.
Where are you taking them?
Just going to show them Big Brother. Dun, 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 dun. This is what we had put in today. Welcome, Winston, to room 101. Yes. We've got these all around the property. Security cameras, infrared, even with voice. Big Brother got your last comment. Oh dear. I'll read the comments in a second. I'm just setting up this camera again. There we go. We'll catch up. I've never looked at people that, in your situation, end up getting unemployment, Paddy, because you pay for it over many, many years. It's not you're taking advantage of anything. I'd certainly, if you're asking me, and you don't need to listen to what my advice would be, I would say sit back, take stock of your life. Look at what you would like to do for the remainder of it. Did you mention Nippon or something like that? That's not a word they delete. I would certainly do that, Paddy. Kick back, take stock, take your time. One thing, as you work all your life, you don't give time for yourself to think. You just do. You're not a burden on society. You work for society. You don't need to take my advice, but I think that you probably do need to take stock of who and what you want to be for the rest of it. Oh, I see. Well, Nippon is not an offensive word, but maybe just half of it maybe is. Just ask Laura, I think you're talking, a suggestion about V-neck? Yes. Delusion runs deep at the bottom of YouTube. I once saw a square watermelon, I kid you not, Monchichi. It was at a university, and they'd grown about 50 of them that split, but they did get one to stay square. For what purpose, I'll never know. Oh, it's easier to cut, dickhead. Give me an ugly watermelon any day. Which reminds me, in about 4 weeks' time, I'll be planting them. One with rock melon, honeydew. It's that time of the year coming up. I'll just have your temperamental letters there. Just photos. Just a few. Spare them. I know in Japan they went on a big fad of those, if you remember, Monchichi. Some company was doing it. They had special, I think they were plastic wrapped square boxes around the fruit. Just dumb. Of course, they probably charged an arm and a leg for them. Here's a good question for you, Paddy. Obviously, you can't go too many places in your country because it's full of virus. But is there somewhere local, like a river, or something nice, or a lake, to spend a few days down there? Yeah, honeydew, yum. We get all sorts of melons there. I'll grow about 5 or 6 really big ones for the kids. Stick one in the big fridge for a day. So they come round, chop it up, and they'll hoe into it. is Friday morning there with you guys. Friday night here. All's quiet, except our daughter is hours or a couple of days away from giving birth to a large sperm whale for the size of it. We've got her other son with us tonight. Haven't seen JP for a while. Must be busy. I think he's coaching his team because it's not winning. Have to get out there. Yeah, we call the cantaloupe here rock melon, but the honeydew, that green, delicious flesh. There's several others. We've got a real peachy flesh one, all sorts of melons. Long ones, round ones. But traditionally here, probably second week of August, you plant your melons and your pumpkins, plant your tomatoes, but keep them inside for about 4 weeks till they get to be like 4 or 6 inches tall, and then plant them out. No, I even tried years ago, you know, the yellow button and green button squashes. They actually grow quite big, VMAC. The yellow ones are about 5 or 6 inches across. I'm thinking, oh, they'll be cute little ones. No, bloody monsters. Probably the most common of that, they're like a little knobbly edge on like a little starfish, I suppose. We get green ones, white ones, and the yellow ones. But melons, they're good.
I kept that 1 o'clock in the morning call.
Yep, you're still on the slope of the crap that happened to you, Paddy, and that is to be expected. But your worth is far higher than the value of what you lost. So you'll regather, regroup, but take stock of what you want to do with the rest of your life. It's so easy just to fall back and do another job. Acorn and spaghetti. Yeah, no.
I like spaghetti
We used to
squash.
sell tons of spaghetti squash, didn't we?
I-
I grew it and I'm thinking,
I like it. My kids used to, they don't anymore.
yeah, another one you're talking about, Monchichi. I just get so many people. I used to lose size because say, why are you growing artichokes? Oh, I don't know, I just want to give them a go. Do you like artichoke? No. You know, it's about a 3-season process to get decent artichoke. Yeah. Like asparagus? No. Okay. So much room you got in the backyard. Oh, I've got a planter box. Don't even bother. You know, I've seen an asparagus, a artichoke bush. Bloody enormous. Yeah, that's right, B-Mac. That's what I suggested to Paddy, because what we don't give ourselves a lot of is time for ourselves. But at 60, you should be maybe kicking back a little bit more. As long as you can get by in life, roof over your head, being with people that care about you, eating well, and enjoying some of the things you'd like to enjoy. You don't always have to be on the treadmill. Yeah, no, that's always a bad move. When you're at the top of an emotional pinnacle, making decisions is not one of the things you should be doing. That's why I'm suggesting, like VMAC is, kick back, relax, best you can. Still going to be pissed off. All right, we'll talk about the pissed off mountain that you've just come across. Yeah, it's big. And you're coming down one side of it now because you're pissed off, but you realise and you've reached the point that, yeah, okay, you just got to get to the bottom of pissed off mountain and plateau and think, oh, it's not too bad. I always think about things when I hear about your situation and what occurred is other people lose. They don't get the same person running the place. Efficiency, may not be the same. I truly believe that your removal was only to foresee the removal of some tenants. Above everything else, and I mentioned this months ago, you're going to see the worst of people and you're going to see the best of people. And it's happening all over the place. These mortgage holidays. Look, there's plenty of people in the US that aren't paying their car payments, their rent. They're months behind. They're all hanging out for Congress to say, yeah, we'll give you another, bit of money. The country itself, and ours is no different, is on a precipice. When there is no money in people's hands, America in particular is a consumer-driven economy. So when no one's going to be spending anything, there won't be a lot of people working because there's no demand. It all boils down to the simple fact of supply and demand. If there's no demand, you don't have a supply chain. The people you buy your produce off say, well, do you want to take some more this week? You go, nah, no one's buying anything. What am I supposed to do with it? Feed it to the pigs? Yeah, good idea. There's a whole chain of people that get affected from a business. We haven't seen the worst of it yet. I truly, and I'm not a doomsdayer. We ain't seen the worst of this yet. Global tensions are rising. I also suggested a month ago China's going to face political and embargoes, and it's all starting to happen. Escalation. It's not just the US and China. It's China and everyone else. You name a country, they're all getting crapped on by China, and they're all starting to react. And sadly, this is what will happen. There are Chinese in Canada, there are Chinese in America, and they'll get a bit of racial discrimination for the fact that only because they're Chinese. And even Malays, people will think they're Chinese. Vietnamese people, yeah, they look Chinese. So there's a bit of unnecessary racism even in our own countries, based on the fact they look Chinese. And the irony is the Australian Chinese are pissed off with the Chinese. They put pressure on them even in our country. So they're no fans of the Chinese Communist Party, the CPP. There is, because we've got Chinese that have been in this country for 200 years. They're Australian. They look Chinese, but they're Australian. And the same things happen here. I know one shopkeeper in this town apparently had a big fight with some really arsehole students from China that come in and demanded this and demanded that because their parents are rich and they're in Australia doing the education. So the Chinese lady say, you can just, fuck off. You can't speak to us this way. Yes, I can, to get out of my shop. You dickheads. And that's an Australian Chinese. Oh, they're pulling passports of suspect Chinese so-called students of about 30 years of age in Australia because they believe they're infiltrating certain areas. And the US is doing the same thing. And Britain. So this assignment took a day off. Okay. Yeah, look, I don't wish any harm on the person that replaced you. I just think that she's probably in deep and doesn't realise it. Do you think they're going to treat her any better? I think the problem, though, Monchichi, is distinguishing between threat and friend. Like some of the Chinese in our city have been here for 200 years, and they are Australian. You can say whatever you like. We've got Greeks, Italians, all I know what you meant. I knew you meant CCP. They're all Australian, and they're the ones actually making more noise against China because they know what they're up to and know what they're doing. It's called a soft infiltration, covert and overt, and hacking, and all sorts of things. That's why Huey's not here. We kicked him out. UK's kicked him out. There's going to be huge political fallout, but there's only one loser here in the long run. Consumers spend money to get produce or products. And if China says we're not going to sell you anything, and we say, okay, you're not getting any of our oil, our gold, our lithium, you get nothing. None of our sheep, none of our wool, none of our grains, none of our ores. See ya. See, in Australia, we can afford to leave it in the ground. Just let it sit there. And we'll find new markets. And people that worked in the mining industry will probably go and work elsewhere. Because we're sort of versatile like that. So if you wave a big stick, in the end, the person waving the stick is the loser. Yep, I mean, the copyright infringements for the last 30 years have been staggering. No copyright laws in China, unless you're in China. If you're a Chinese company and someone tries to make similar things that you're making that you've already copied off something in, say, the US, they can close the other business down. Bit of nepotism there. Not good for goose and gander there. It's a case of who's in first. Who cheats fastest wins. So, and I'm tired of cheap Chinese crap, I'll be honest with you. I don't want any more of it. I'll pay a little bit more. Get my t-shirts locally. Am I a racist? No, I'm a realist. I know what they're doing. I know their manipulation, the political and economic manipulation is now at an intolerable rate. So if people lose jobs and economies suffer a bit because China says, you're not getting nothing, we're not going to sell you any more of our crap. Go, okay. But can we keep buying your ore for iron ore from Australia? No, you can go away. But we're China, you've got to sell it to us. No, we just leave it in the ground, mate. It's all good. Well, what about an investment in Australia? Well, you're not a big investor in Australia at all. Biggest investor in Australia is Britain and the USA, believe it or not. Yeah, there's a thing with work, Paddy, is like, I'm going to tell you, this is exactly how you would feel, because I know you well enough now. You're a person who thinks that if you don't do it at work, no one else will. But, you know, you have the theory that the world will stop if you don't complete the tasks that are required. It took me years to realise that's not the case. I don't have to have such a tight rein on making sure everything is done the way I like it, as long as it gets done. But that means that you are dedicated. It means that you wanted to have a first-class job done. But in the end, if you realise that all of us are replaceable. Yep, it's simply what you put on the table, Monchichi. It's not what you say, what you think, but it's the way you act. And China has done nothing in the last 5 years except pushed most countries. And there's a breaking point coming. I mean, if I look, Monchichi, you and me could make a lot of money in the next week. If I said to Monchichi, in the US, give me someone that makes t-shirts, and let's print 100,000 of them. No political slogans on these t-shirts, just made in the USA. Or another t-shirt, not made in China. I reckon they'd fly off the shelf. Might cost you $30 for a t-shirt. Be a good one, though. Made in the US of A. As long as you buy, you know, Australian cotton, wool, you'll be good. It's a good thing, VMAC. It means that there's a remanufacturing phase taking place, even in our country, like yours. takes you a while though, Paddy, to realise that. And I'm sure even though you're gone, you're thinking, is everything being done? You're actually still thinking about the job. And that's why you need to chill, relax, let go, move on. Wasn't a pleasant experience. It's one that you don't want to keep having. But if you think about things and the future unfolds and things get better, and like I say, end up doing something A, you're good at, and B, it doesn't suck the life out of you. The government is supposed to give us back half of Oklahoma. Well, you must be Native American by birthright then, I guess, Monchichi. I read that up. I don't see it happening either. I think it's all words. Maybe they'll just give you a title. Here's a piece of paper. You own more of Oklahoma, but not really. Just a piece of paper. Yep. Cherokee Nation. That covers, tell me if I'm wrong, 3 states off memory. I was right into that years ago. How wide and spread nations of Native Americans were. I think Cherokee was 3 of the current states is what I'm saying. It was pretty big, I know that much. It's always one of these weird things about, particularly white people. I'm white, but white people standing up saying, we've colonised your country and now we're the boss. And everything we say goes. Yet, if someone comes to the country after them and says, oh, we're Japanese and we're going to take over your country and we're the boss, that would be what we call a war. I think the Cherokee in particular have been quite benevolent in not taking a lot of white lives. Because in reverse, imagine if the Cherokees arrived in America today, say in, the biggest amount, I think Cherokees got up to about 500,000 or 600,000, and they all came on shore, they'd all get shot. You're invading our country. Maybe the Cherokees should bring some beads and baubles, Monchichi. About $27 worth should cover it to buy Oklahoma back. Native Americans, like Native Australians, Aborigines, have the same process. No one was unwelcome. You'd certainly be questioned if you went to some, because we've got 844 tribes in Australia, Monchichi. But if you went from one tribe to another, 30,000 years ago, they'd question you first of all. They all used to go down on their haunches, and I'm pretty sure the Native Americans did the same thing. Meet by a river. Sometimes the language is a bit difficult, but they'd find out why you're there and what you're doing. And if it was for peaceful purposes, you were welcome to their country. Do you know what I mean? Like there's sorry?
I tried using that phone.
Yeah, it's good. You need power.
Yeah.
Isn't it good when someone actually welcomes you to their country? Well, I think it's reversed, Paddy. Kind attracts kind. What we say is not what you have to do. We're just a soundboard for you. But some of us have been through that crap and understand the emotions, the difficulties, the feeling of being, being put down for no reason. It's all trials and tribulations in our lives, but it's just one of those things. I mean, it sounds ridiculous for me to tell you this, Paddy, but what you've been through is not that important. in the sum of your life. Do you know what I mean? It's a portion of your life that went and crap happened and just move on. But take time to look after yourself. It's so easy to jump on the wagon again and keep spinning the wheels when you're probably due some time off. None of us are worthless. That's what really annoys me about greedy people, evil people, that don't, well, I could mention a certain leader of a certain country, have no empathy, care less what happens to you. As long as they're doing okay and they're better off than you are, they're happy with that. The word share doesn't come into their vocabulary, or care. So the world's made up of these, but the world's made up of mostly good people. It really is. No matter what colour or creed you are. If you've got some 30-year-old mothers and you all lined them up, they're from 100 countries, and you ask them what do they want for their family, they'd say good food, shelter, and not to be persecuted or harmed. They'd all say the same damn thing in different languages, but it would be the same thing. That's why women should rule the world, because they think about it instead of acting and then, oh shit, that didn't work out too well. A lot of male leaders around the globe take action on their own behalf. Don't consult anyone. Particularly in your state, Monchichi, yeah. Oklahoma, run by female governor, run by a female mayor. Of course, there'll be a ban on timber. You won't be able to get any timber because they'll be like greenies. Can't cut any more down. No, you'll have to use pine wood. I want to rule the world, me, my daggers and my fangs.
Go for it.
What would be your first order as new ruler, VMAC? We're all standing on the big screen that says INSOC, and VMAC comes up, or just the image of the fangs. And your first words to the people are?
Chocolate for everyone.
She's not going to give chocolate. I know this sounds crazy, but there shouldn't be a ruler on the planet over the age of 60. They're 3 generations' thoughts away from today. So if you're 61, you can't be elected. You can be elected between, say, the ages of 35 to 60. Not before and not after.
Same as Pope.
Oh no, you've got to be 110 to be the Pope.
It's ridiculous.
Well, you got off lightly. We used to get smacked with canes over the back of our knuckles.
Oh yeah, the cane and
Or
dustboard.
big heavy rulers. You know the rulers with that metal bit in it, Monchichi? Straight down.
Blackboard.
And it left a welt on your arm for probably, I don't know, 3 months.
Blackboard duster chucked at you.
I don't think it would be chaos, VMAC. I think that would be, and I don't wish that upon him at all, but that would be a blessing in disguise. I see the people around him terrified. Not of him, but of his actions. And where the hell do they go when he's removed? Do you know, Mitch McConnell has no future. Lindsey Graham, no future. Dozens of Republicans that are yes men, no future. Because they'd be seen part of the, let's be cruel here for a moment, just use these words, of the Trump cult. You know, it's turned the country on its edge. It doesn't look like the America I knew 30, 40 years ago at all. So much division within the country, not just racially or politically, but on levels of wealth. The poor have got poorer, and the rich have got a lot richer. and the people in between have been forgotten. There is no Middle America anymore. It's a bit of a myth. Little Larry, 2024. I'll vote for him. He's got a bit of character. I've been watching a YouTube channel. Look, I am not anti-Republican or anti-Democrat at all. I just want to see someone that can lead the country and unite the damn country. I don't care what party they're from. And I've been listening to staunch Republicans. Some were senators, some were in the lower house, that are saying it breaks their heart, but they are not voting for the Republican Party this year because they want to get rid. They want to empty the swamp, if you like, and they want to, in 4 years' time, hopefully have someone that they can turn to. But they realise, and this is not one or a dozen people, it's thousands of them saying the same thing. We need to do something that we shouldn't be doing, but we're going to vote for Biden, who may not be the answer, but it's a better alternative is what they're saying. And I thought it was only a few videos. It is thousands of them, tens of thousands, probably hundreds of thousands. That's the swing that Trump doesn't realise what's happening. Forget about the swinging voter. They will swing back and forth. The people that are going to elect Joe Biden into office are going to be Republicans, which sounds like a contradictory of terms, but that's what I see happening. Will go by pretty quickly if there's someone decent in the Republican Party, and I'm pretty sure that they will put someone decent in the Republican Party. They'll turn their votes back to the Republican Party, but not this coming November. They are standing on one issue alone: their country, America. And I do applaud them. Like I say, I don't care which party leads America. I do care how they lead it. Trump has lied. Trump has made very poor decisions. In fact, one of Trump's biggest failings, Scarlett, he doesn't make decisions. He's going to be crushed in November, Scarlett. And I'm not even looking at the polls. Apparently, Biden's way ahead on the polls. But the people that are going to vote Biden in are Republican voters. When you say, what has Trump made bad? Everything. He doesn't make decisions for the people. He has no empathy for the people. It's all numbers, and all this virus will just go away. You and I had a conversation probably 2 or 3 weeks ago, and you were talking about the numbers and the infections, and it's all not a major problem. I said in 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, you will see the death pile line up. It's exactly what we're seeing now. He lies all the time, Scarlett. He tells furfigs. I know you're an Advent supporter, and I'm not going to argue with your support of him. I think he is the worst president in my lifetime. Simple as that. Well, yeah, there's one of them. Do you think that's a lie, Scarlett? The United States has one of the lowest death rates from coronavirus. That's from the mouth recently of Mr. Trump. Well, we just did. There's hundreds of them, but there's one. The United States has the lowest death rate from coronavirus. You believe that it has the lowest death rate because Trump said it, when in fact the statisticians in your own country say that's not true. And apparently the numbers now aren't accurate. See, your information is just words when it comes to things like that. Statisticians, people in the professional medical trade in the US, tell us that's not true. So when you say the numbers are not accurate, that is to sway your argument that Mr. Trump doesn't lie. He does. He lies often. No one's attacking you here, but like I say, your beliefs are yours, and I'm happy that you think Trump is the next second best thing to the second coming. But he is, in my eyes, the worst president I've ever seen. Yes, there's another one. Anyone who wants a test can get one. No, that's a lie. The infection rate in America is 9.8%. Okay? Listen to what I'm going to say now. So there's several stats you can play with, but these are facts. The infection rate from testing is 9.8% in the US. In the UK, it's 0.6. In France, it's 0.5. But in the US, it's 9.8. So using the words, more tests, we get more cases. That is true. However, the infection rate on testing is staggering. So when you use the words Trump doesn't lie, you want to believe that. You want to believe he doesn't tell fibs, or he doesn't tell furphies, or half-truths, or things like that. Hello, Danny.
Oh, Danny, what are you doing out here on holidays?
Over this week, I'm sure, but we're back home next. Peace and love. Okay. Hello and goodbye. You say hello, and I say goodbye. Goodbye, goodbye. Have a good one. Enjoy that beach. Like I say, the only thing I would like for my American friends, and we have family in the US, by the way, and in Canada, is that I want them to be led well by someone who has empathy, who is humble. I don't know how many times I've heard Trump say, I'm the best at this, I'm the best in the world at that. It just goes on and on. There is not a humble bone in the man's body, which is a true narcissistic trait. And early on in the piece, I mean, he was gleefully saying, yes, all the Democratic states, they're getting infections. That's because they're evil. Yes. Oops. What about Texas? What about Florida? What about them red states now inundated? Doesn't talk about that now. The only thing he said this week which makes any sense to me is that he used a brief interview to say, I think things are going to get worse before they get better. Now that's the truth. That's the only truth I've heard him say in quite a while. You know, some of the nonsense he said over the months, you could treat as a lie, but it was also a case of deception. We'll all be holding hands at Easter in church. Mark my words, this is going to go away. It's just going to disappear. Is that medical talk? And then what happened this week when he recommenced the coronavirus interviews, briefings? Guess who was missing? Scarlett. Guess who wasn't there? And just prior to it, Mr. Fauci said, yeah, I think I'm going to be invited. No. And who gave the medical descriptions? Mr. Trump. No medical knowledge at all. Yep, you enjoy your weekend, VMAC. It's coming up. It should be enjoyable. Like I said, and I don't want to put you down, Scarlett, but I'm going to tell you in the future, there is no crystal ball, there's just lateral thinking and logic. Mr. Trump and a few of his associates will be facing Senate inquiries. They will be subpoenaed for certain things. There's going to be a reckoning for the behaviour of that little group of people. We're going to make another series about Hillary Clinton, but apparently this is a bit mythical because she doesn't end up marrying Bill Clinton, but she becomes President of the United States. You probably won't watch that. I probably won't watch that, to be honest. It's all right when you're a bus driver. You've got the eyes on the road. 30 kids in the back, you look after them. But when you're a bus driver, that will blame someone else for hitting you because you were on your phone tweeting and you ran into another bus and people die, you'll blame the other bus driver or the weather or the Chinese perhaps. See, that's where your argument falls completely apart. Do you know how many Democratic lower and upper house members there are, Scarlett? Do you know the numbers? Yeah, roughly 300-400. Do you know the numbers? So you're saying all of them, along with a deep state, is taking down America. So anyone that is Democrat is in alliance with the deep state to destroy America. You've got to realise how fanciful that sounds. The news does lie. The news sensationalises. The news says words that put fear into people's minds. But if you're a leader of a nation and you abrogate your responsibility to, the governors can fix it. They can, and when it goes wrong, we blame the governors. America needs a leader with compassion and someone who is humble and thinks of one thing only first, the people of a country. Mr. Trump doesn't give a rat's ass about anyone else except Mr. Trump. Like I say, I will be vindicated in 6 to 12 months when you see Senate committees and inquiries and subpoenas land at the doorstep of the Trump Tower, because it's going to happen, Scarlett. It will happen. There needs to be a reckoning for the behaviour that has led, without doubt in my mind, to the deaths of thousands of Americans. When you're the bus driver and you take your eye off the wheel, you can't blame anyone else for the actions. And very well designed too, Monchichi. Like sending in federal troops to protect federal buildings and then wandering the streets, rounding up people. That's not actually under Article 41 at all. You can send in federal troops to protect federal property, but you can't send federal troops in to disperse normal crowds. And I agree with that wholeheartedly. Every governor should be able to have his own decision-making take first. The federal government should only be looking at federalised policies for the betterment of the people. Hello, Nicole. But to simply lead a country blindly, blame everyone else, absolute racist statements, whether China was the initial area this virus come from, is probably true. But to call it the China virus, don't you even see how that is racist? So every Chinese person is now responsible for the virus, which is a racist statement. Seems to go unnoticed. No, there's no doubt the agitators in amongst the Monchichi are few, but very well organised. Without doubt. I saw a group of female Americans going down in Portland, holding arms, to stop people. Well, yeah, he is Monchichi. He doesn't like anyone. All right, let's say, put it this way, Nicole. Let's say the virus started in Manchester. It's the Mank virus. Everywhere you go. Where are you from? Manchester. The Mank virus place. Then maybe it would look a little bit racist. No, every nation doesn't call it the China virus. Bring me some articles that say they call it the China virus, Scarlett. Bring them up. Spanish flu was a term done by Americans, Scarlett. The Spanish flu started in America. You probably don't believe that, but it's true. Yeah, you're entitled to your opinion, Nicole, but if someone said it's the Mank virus, you take offence. Everywhere you go, where are you from? Manchester. The Mank virus. It's an indictment on all of the people of Manchester, which is very unfair. See, there's a bit of humour in Kung Flu. At least Manchester would be famous for something then, Nicole. Boom, boom. Manchuchi. Like I say, when you see the intent in what is said, there's a big difference. You know, when people say things, it's usually how they say them and the context in what they're saying that makes it venomous or not. And like, I just cannot think of any leader that I've seen in my lifetime who is doing anything and everything to promote themselves. Look, there's been some terrible British Prime Ministers over the years, but none of them come anywhere close to what Trump does. I didn't see any media say Chinese virus. I see a lot of people say the virus started in China. That's not twisting words, that's just fact that people knew because China said so. Okay. Maybe a select group of people did that, but like I say, it's not common in Australia. You don't hear anyone say, oh, the China virus. It's COVID-19. It's a virus amongst many. Do you know how many viruses are in our body, Nicole? And bacteria? It's staggering, the amount of viruses and bacteria in our lower gut. Like I say, it'll all unfold, and I believe truly that there will be hearings, subpoenas, Senate inquiries. Mr. Trump will be sitting down in a chair, along with his buddies, who haven't given a damn about the American people from the word go. But you vote for whoever you like. But what I've been reading and researching recently is the staggering amount of Republicans who are saying quite clearly that in the future they will vote Republican, but not this time. When someone, even though he's no longer president, stands up and says, I will be voting for Biden just to get rid of Trump, and had 2 terms, and whether you liked him or not, George W. Bush is supporting Biden. That has some sway. That's not somebody. That's someone that used to be the president of the United States. They just, voted for someone that was less than 70 years of age. It's like, in the end, the American Congress will be at a nursing home and the president will be on a ventilator. That'll be normal. They get that old. I don't love any leader. I expect them to do a job and do it well. They're a paid employee of the people. Well, you're entitled to that love and feeling, Scarlett. Yeah, Bush certainly looked after a lot of companies, didn't he, Monchichi? Wait for the Pfizer report. What about Hillary running? Shouldn't that be happening shortly, Scarlett? Bush was corrupt, right? What, with Enron? Dick Cheney? You don't really believe they were looking after other interests than their own, Scarlett, do you? Yeah, but I've never seen a president actually bring up products in the Oval Office and say, these are good, you should buy these, and my daughter will tell you the same damn thing. He's actually not allowed to do that. Hillary will be inched in, wait and see. Okay. I haven't heard any underground media suggesting that, or the fake media, they've not suggested that. Oh, the Russians always like to stick it. You know, the Russians have always poked countries in one form or another. Same with China. They're doing it probably more so than Russia. Yeah, I think that's what we got out of tonight, Leroy. Everyone, all media, any other politician, anyone breathing, is corrupt, except Donald Trump. I do too. I think China is pushing the boundaries everywhere. And there'll be a reckoning from countries that will just pull away from China. And they'll wonder what the hell happened. They have scrutinised Trump for 3 years, nothing except the Obama broke the laws of... okay, right. Actually, the left didn't try to end Brexit. The people voted in the United Kingdom, Nicole. Very simple process. Cameron didn't think it was going to go that way, but it did. When you ask the people to vote, okay, the left, whether you say the left were more people that voted for it than the right in the UK, is irrelevant. The people of the UK voted to end Brexit. It took a long time for it to happen. Left the country in confusion, not knowing what they were going. I still think it's going to be messy. They have been trying here since the vote ceased. They've been trying to end it since the vote. Look, when decisions are made, there's lots of unhappy people. And because it wasn't a landslide vote, difference between yes and no, that the no people stood up. Of course, we all saw that for the last 2 years, Nicole. We're in the UK when it was happening. Well, get back in the room. We've got to get back to the union. Yeah, it was wrong. Well, you lost. The vote went to leave. And it was a parliamentary process. A vote was taken, a decision made. Unfortunately, the decision didn't follow through till late last year. So saying the left did this or the left did that is irrelevant. The people voted. Whatever you think of the people, they voted and they said, we want to leave. Just because you don't agree with the decision, you can't blame other people for a vote that was done democratically. Look, the EU consists of what, Nicole? Let's pull Germany out of the EU. What do you have left? Nothing. France and Germany. What do you got left? Zero. No, the EU was for trade. I remember as a kid listening to how butter was going to be so cheap because it was going to come from Europe. But seriously, that was advertised, Scarlett. Things will be so much cheaper when we join the union. It was never going to be a big armed force. Again, who's the most powerful military country in the EU? UK? It's not too bad, is it, Monchichi? Just wish you could get the work. But if you talk about military might in the Union, hello, Buttercup. Apart from the UK, who have you got? France? Turkey? That's going to happen anyway, Nicole. The UK has let a landslide take place, and there's so many countries that really don't bring anything to the table for the union anyway. It's a union of names of countries. Lots of these countries are broke. Just passing on breaking news. Buttercup can now get into a damn garage. Woohoo! It's only taken 15 years. NATO, special armed forces, but they got in eventually. And for her troubles, they gave her 50 quid to make a TV series out of that. The Great Garage Door Scam. Yep, that's true. Greece, Portugal, plenty of countries, you name them. There's plenty of countries by name are in the Union who bring nothing to the table because they're broke. We've got to be brutally honest here, Nicole. Just me and you, because you know where I'm going with this. If I said the Union existed only of two countries, England and France, how many hours or weeks do you think that Union would last? It wouldn't. £100. Nice. And I've got to tell you, Euro notes, they look just like Monopoly money, don't they? They look exactly like something you'd pull out of a Monopoly box.
I'm not in the room. Hello, everybody. Hey, Nicole, Buddy, anyone I missed? I'm checking.
Well, considering there's probably, 1,500 years of I will kill the English dog. Why? Because my father killed him, and his father. There will not be an EU as we know it in 10 years. I cannot see it. The only economic powers in amongst all of them countries is Germany and France. The rest might think they're sort of in the league, but they're not. Very close to being hatched out of the oven, Buttercup. We're not sure when.
Wait. Check out messages. I'm going to try and go to bed shortly myself, get some sleep before I get the phone call to be at the hospital, because I'm permitted to go in with my daughter.
It's one of those weird things, Nicole. For the last 3 or 4 months, been looking back on some videos at the start of the talk of Brexit and then the completion, in other words, the decision. Many of the people that are pissed off are farmers in the UK because they can't afford to pay an Englishman to pick. They would prefer a Bulgarian or a Hungarian who works for less. So there will be a shortage, which means people won't produce as much. No point growing something if you're just going to leave it die in the field. That is a worry. The price of your food in the UK is a bit steep, even now. They were there when I was a kid. We used to have Romanies. The old railway lines, like where I live, which is near Heathrow, and they used to all go down the railway tracks. They'd be in the open fields with the cows, and they would steal and do stuff. No, I don't want to. What I don't do, Scarlett, is go down rabbit holes. And I'm not blind to the facts, but it boils down to that because somebody's got a video and they say something, it's not necessarily true. It's a report based on their information and opinions, just like the media does the same damn thing. I find it quite funny, Nicole. Your country's made of immigrants. That, like I said, one of the statements wasn't racist. After visiting the UK, the Englishness had left England. See, Scarlett, the thing about me is that I believe the two words don't make sense. These two words are a conspiracy and a theory. It's either a conspiracy or it's just a thought process as a theory. Combining the two words doesn't make any logical sense to me. It's either fact or it's fiction. or it's made up to suit an agenda. Japanese Galaxy 3. Just look, the world's full of evil, greed. There's no denying any of that. Well, if it's not hyperbole, it's then truth, Buttercup. Bring the truth forward for the world to see. Because until that's done, it is just hyperbole. That's all it is. Just because someone's got facts but they're not verified or they're not accepted means that they're not validated. I am not going to waste my time, and please don't take that offence, by going to hundreds of channels and listen to people's theories about Area 51, about 5G killing us, I could go on for hours about all the theories. But it boils down to, well, Scarlett, if it's proof, bring it to the world. Show the world. Make it a fact. The point is, when people throw these things up but then nothing happens, you watch it, you're saying it's a fact, but nothing happens. So why? Why aren't you getting onto all the fake media outlets or running your own ads and showing people? And no, you need to show the world. If you have something that is not hyperbole but is absolute fact and not a theory but fact, let the world know. Because there are millions of people that say the same thing, and you know what happens, Scarlett? Nothing. Just more YouTube videos, just more bits and pieces and information, and these are facts, and trust me, and this is what's going to happen. Hillary will be in. I have no doubt about that at all, Buttercup. Doesn't suit their agenda. It disappears. No, I view the world in a very easy and open way, Scarlett. It is corrupt. It is evil. But you must make the best of what you have in any way you can. But if you basically have a fact that is showing the world the evil that runs it, show it. Stand up. Get all of the people you know, march in your hundreds of thousands. Make a stance. But do we see conspiracy theory marches? Is there one? No. There isn't one. There's hundreds and thousands, if not millions of people that believe exactly what you believe, but there are no marches, there are no papers going to Parliament at all. It's just talk. No, if all the facts are on Judicial Watch, Scarlett, bring it to the world. Don't bring it to me. I will applaud you like you wouldn't imagine if you lead 100,000 people to Washington, D.C. with these Judicial Watch people and throw the facts on the floor and bring the evil and corruptness of the world down on its knees. It's not going to happen. No, things have been brought out in the past about corruption, Nicole. People have lost their jobs, gone to prison, even leaders of countries. So it does happen. But we're talking about the fundamental evil and greed of the people that own the planet. Do you think you're going to bring them down? No. What was that lady's name that recently got arrested with Epstein? Gazelle, I forget. I briefly looked at it. I do remember it highlighted when I listened to a question asked of Mr. Trump, and words about the lady. Mr. Trump said, "I wish her well." This is the lady that groomed young women, very young women, for Epstein. But Mr. Trump said, "I wish her well." Don't anyone find that a bit strange? I won't offer facts unless they are facts. I won't say something that I have an opinion and a viewpoint and turn it into a fact, because there's a huge difference. So, do you wish this Gazelle lady well as well, Scarlett? I'm not saying that, but even if, let's say, a murderer was caught but not convicted yet, but there'd been a crime committed and an associate go to jail already, you'd have your doubts about saying, I wish her well. Would you not think? You think the better answer would be, I don't have an opinion on the subject? You see my point? See, like I say, when it comes to someone saying to me, this is an absolute fact and I can prove it, and yet they don't do anything about it, there's not much conviction there. It's like, well, I'm going to give you the information, but I'm not going to do anything about it. That's the problem I have with that. Oh, geez, there's a whole list of them, Nicole, particularly Russians who mysteriously die in Chinese. Well, it's not a lie, it's an opinion, Leroy, but I certainly wouldn't turn it into fact. Like I say, everyone's entitled to their opinion. Don't attack each other. I don't approve of that in my room at all. I've heard some nonsense in the last few days about, I'm not wearing a mask, that's stupid, the virus is fake. But I've been hearing that for months and months. And now the president's suggesting maybe you should wear a mask. I've always been a fan of masks. Really? Yeah. Yep, good shopping. Stay away from strangers, Scarlett. No, it's not fake. It's like any other nasty virus or bacteria. This one transmits just by looking at someone. We've had an outbreak in Victoria, Nicole, which is in the southern states of our country. 400 a day for about a week. We don't have any air at all where we live. And it's due to a few things, but just a lot of stupid people not really understanding what 14-day quarantine means. 90% of those, I think it was 2,000 people that should have been under quarantine, just went fishing, shopping, dancing, and now there's an outbreak. Sound familiar? No, Leroy, don't do that. Okay, that's an insult. I don't mind you having an argument, but don't insult someone. But what, like I say, you're entitled, and I'm entitled to my opinion. But I won't go down thousands of rabbit holes because someone tells me the facts are there, Seeds. The truth is there. When people tell me that, but they're not willing to do anything about it, you have no real conviction. You just have these so-called facts that I should be looking at. And trust me, if I found out a fact, I'd release it. I'd be the one standing up saying, hey, look at this. This is a fact. These bastards are doing this. I wouldn't say, oh, I'll get someone else to look at it, but I'm not going to do anything about it. Well, I said, and all of you probably remember, in probably late February, early March, the best way to kill this virus is for us all to do nothing for a month. And no one did. Well, we did. No, I'm telling both of you not to insult. You're not alone, Leroy. Buttercup won't insult you and you won't insult her. You may argue the point blue in the face. That's fine. Have your opinions and views, but don't insult each other. I don't tolerate that and won't tolerate it. If there's a full-on war in the text, I'll just boot the pair of you. Because I can. And then you'll call me a dictator. Yes. But the biggest lie Trump made in these last few weeks is using these simple words. The virus will go away. We have one of the lowest death rates in the world. Why is someone like him giving out scientific information which is false? It shouldn't be him heading any sort of coronavirus media report. It should be like in Australia. This is what happens in Australia. The Premier or the leader of the country will stand up, and then he stands aside, and the chief health medical officers of the country and the states do all of the talking. Doesn't that make sense? Not just have someone ramble on about it's going to be okay. Don't worry about the colour marks on the map. It's fine. It's ridiculous. Well, there's a medical fact. I'll jump in here between Leroy and Buttercup and tell you, Buttercup, medical facts. Wearing a mask minimises the spread of the disease. And minimising it is a good thing. That comes from all chief medical officers in Australia, every state and the federal government. Masks will minimise the transmission of the virus. Nicole, the fact is the world is greedy and evil by the people that own it. They are not going to change. It's not suddenly going to be kumbaya from all these people that rule the world. They want it the way they want it. Right, like I say, let's start again. I am more than happy, as you're all well aware, to have a discussion and agree to disagree and put my point forward. But don't attack each other. There is no need. We're far too intelligent, all of us, to go down that path. But there will be a reckoning for Mr. Trump in the future, I have no doubt. It will not shock the world. This is one of the ironies. When Senate committees and subpoenas are given out, no one's going to go, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. It would be, yep, probably deserved it. But like I say, I'll stand firm on this statement. The Democratic people are not going to vote Joe Biden in. The Republicans that are sick to death of what's happening and thinking of their country are, for one brief November 4th day, going to be voting for Biden, on the understanding when they get rid of the swamp person, they will vote for someone again in the Republican Party. I'm not making these words up. Tens of thousands of Americans are all doing videos saying just that. And I get it. They are Republicans, but they are Americans first. Well, none of us are chief medical officers, but we do read, we do understand research in regards to the medical fields. It's been rapid in this. Isn't it funny? I'm going to put this in context. Within months, they're going to come up with a virus vaccine, but not for AIDS. See where I'm going with that? It's not that important, apparently. They can throw every resource at this virus, but HIV? Nah. Well, the last I read from different scientific research centres, Buttercup, there are 6 strains of the virus. So does that mean you've got to have 6 vaccines? No, Nicole, you've hit the money nail on the head. Why is it that people and companies that are associated with, like, say, Monsanto, DuPont, produce the food, and they're also the people that are into pharmaceutical companies? So they make the food, makes you sick, and gives you medication that doesn't cure you, but alleviates some of the symptoms of the chemicals in the food. It does. The virus sticks to molecules. That's true. I'm not sure what you don't see in that. When you sneeze, you have what they call droplets, and then you have aerosol, which for years I've known can spread about 15 to 20 feet, and they can get into air conditioning ducts and it could be transmitted to someone else. And that slows it down. I don't know what you're talking about. Let me put it this way, Buttercup. If I walked into the room with you and Nicole, and me and Nicole don't have the virus, but you're wearing a mask, it's unlikely that me or Nicole will get the virus. It's minimised. But if you're in the room and Nicole and me are there and you sneeze, there's probably a 100% chance that me and Nicole will get the virus. I didn't say it stopped it, I said it minimised the transmission. And that comes from chief health medical officers around the world. Like I say, there have been people that have come and on YouTube and online and on media saying the virus is fake. And they think it's all bullshit. And every time they've been offered to go to a wing of COVID-19 victims, they're busy that day. They have no conviction. They just use words. It's a fake virus. It's not true. It's all done by deep state. It's all a lie. But they won't go into a wing of people dying from COVID-19 and hold their hand and say, it's fake. Oh, there's heaps of different masks. I think I went dark for a second. Is it spinning now or am I back? Hello, world. Have I been hit by Home Security? CIA, FBI, have they got me? I think I'm back, I'm not sure. It was spinning violently. But the biggest lie of this week was Mr. Trump saying America has one of the lowest death rates from the virus. Couldn't be further from the truth. And when you talk about contracting the virus versus testing, in America it's 9.8% of the people tested have the virus. In Britain, the UK, it's 0.6, and in France it's 0.5. Mr. Trump, you lied. You did it for a political gain, like a lot of things you say. Yeah, don't test, and no one will be sick, Leroy. Stop the testing. Everything you've watched unfold from the White House is weak-kneed people supporting him, for God knows reasons, on ridiculous statements he makes, to the point that the world knows that he's a narcissistic, egotistic person, only in it for himself. He has no empathy at all. Zero. Numbers of deaths are just numbers, like in the stock exchange to him. Not important. We can lose 3% of America. That's okay. It's what's called an acceptable loss in business. But these are people. He shows no empathy at all. He blames everyone else and doesn't take any responsibility. It staggers the thought. If you're a leader, you take the good with the bad. That's it. Well, no politician is perfect, and I don't think, look, I don't care, Nicole, whether it's Republicans or Democrats run in America. I do care that the person that has the job looks after the people. That hasn't happened. No, there's unequivocal fact from scientists that wearing a mask, Buttercup, minimises the transmission of the virus. That's not my words, that's chief health medical officers around the globe.
Okay.
You going to bed? Good night. Maybe a little brother tomorrow, you never know. We're still waiting on some news. Well, what he has done, and I've watched other things other than the mismanagement of the virus in the US, he has antagonised and pushed away many countries. He is not a diplomat's arsehole at all. He's not diplomatic at all. And like I say, there'll be a reckoning in 6 to 12 months. He'll be in front of judicial inquiries, subpoenaed. But like I say, everyone in this room won't be surprised. You might say, oh my God, they've subpoenaed Trump. You'll be going, yeah, okay. Won't be a surprise. Exactly, Lou. I've never said masks stop the transmission of the virus. It does minimise it, which is smart. And I understand the people and their thoughts about their liberties and freedom. You're telling me to wear a damn mask. Well, let's say you're underwater and I say you've got to wear an oxygen tank. I'm not wearing an oxygen tank. I want my liberty and freedom, even if I drown, which they are. No, mandatory mask wearing is a great idea. I fully support it. Fully support it. Now, if you're in the paddock with the cows, and it's just you don't have to wear a mask at all. But that's if you're only in the field with the cows. Maybe you'll get a foot and mouth disease. Maybe you should wear a mask. But there is no if or but, because this is not the only virus the world has faced. And masks protected people over the last 40 or 50 years of our repetitive series of viruses that the world has faced. Yeah, but you just need one police officer that will walk up to you, Nicole, and say, you're not wearing a mask, 200 quid fine. But all the other officers said it was okay. Not me, dear. Policeman plot here, 200 quid, thank you. Now, I'll take your mobile phone as a deposit. I don't understand your statement. It's killing a certain demographic. You don't have to wear a mask in Australia, even if it's mandatory, and I'm sure it's elsewhere. If you have COPD, a lung disease, severe asthmatic, you get a medical waiver, a certificate. You are asked to curb your entrance into the public domain, though, because you may have the virus yourself, even though you're susceptible because of underlying medical issues. So there are people that don't have to wear a mask because of a medical certificate. But if you have healthy mind and body, wear a damn mask. See, there is no argument for me about, do masks minimise the transmission? Yes. That's it. It's just yes. It's like, does the parachute minimise the velocity of you coming to Earth? Yes. It does. Because without the parachute, it gets a bit messy. The reason why the healthy and young need to wear a mask is because they may be having the virus, that they go to their grandmother's house and pass it to them. That's why. No, Larry, don't go down that path. In fact, I'm going to hide that comment and ask you to curb your language. No point getting angry. But no, to someone who says that masks cause the deaths, no. Masks will save many, many lives. In fact, because of the mandatory mask laws around the world, you will see a reduction. It's a natural attrition from fact to fiction. If you've not been wearing a mask, you're probably spreading the virus. If you've got the virus but you're wearing a mask, you minimise the spread of the virus. That's it. Yeah, you are provocative though, Buttercup. I must admit, you're very good at it, but Leroy knows that I don't tolerate swearing or attacking, so that's how it goes. But the truth is that for anyone that comes up to me and say wearing a mask kills people or wearing a mask infringes my freedom and liberties, I'd say just fuck off, you idiot. This is a pandemic. This has nothing to do with your liberty and freedoms. This is to do with protecting lives. In fact, if you're a patriot and you love your country and you like your liberties and freedom, how about you stay long enough to not have the words thrown at you, if you don't want a mask, would you prefer a cask? Because it's stupidity. And if asked the question, oh, Seeds, next week they've got a vaccine for the virus. I ain't taking it. I have no idea what this vaccine will do. I will sit back, thank you very much. Well, like I say, when you have a heated debate, and because it's only text that you're seeing, you also may, on occasions, take things out of context, even though you are both really going hammer and tong, and I don't mind that, but as long as it doesn't get personal or offensive. But you're entitled to your opinions. I just don't agree with a lot of them. And that's how life is. You don't agree with a lot of them. I am one that says masks will help. A lot of people say masks don't do a damn thing. I am one that says minimise your movements during these times of pandemic would be a good idea. And people say, no, I will go to parties down the beach, get drunk, and be with 300 people. And I'd be thinking, nah, you are a dickhead. These times we live in, we won't see again. Everyone in this room will be dead and buried, and there won't be another pandemic like this. There may be other pandemics, but not like this. This pandemic is a health issue first, a wealth issue second. We can all live in a cave and catch fish if we have to. You're all going down different tangents now. Leroy and Buttercup, I ask you now to refrain from any further attack. If you're going to discuss the issue, discuss the issue. There are no arguments for and against if you have an opinion, because you won't change. All right, let's talk about transgender destroying the world. Right, in my theory, 300 million thousand transgenders will take over the world and we'll all have to eat quiche. And I don't really give a damn. I like quiche. I remember the funniest thing I saw, I was only in my early 20s, and my brother-in-law, it was gay, and his friend was very worried about me. We went to a place in Perth where they had, it was called F Stops, F and then the word stops. It was a cabaret by transgenders, and it was so funny. And I said, I'm just going to the toilet. Well, my brother-in-law Paul, his friend, came into the toilet with me. I said, what are you doing? He says, I'm here to protect you. I'm 6'5", and he was like 5'1". And I said, from what? Oh, there's some strange people here. I said, you're not really giving me a great deal of confidence in the society that we're here with. But it was a great show. They did Shirley Bassey. They did a whole heap of things. It was funny as fuck, really. But yeah, no, he said, oh, just keep an eye. He actually stood at the door facing out, and I was at the urinal just having a wee. And I said, what are you doing? I'm protecting you. And I got back in, sat down, and said to Paul, geez, I was lucky. If it wasn't for your boyfriend, I probably would be here today. But yeah. So when it comes to things in life that can be funny, there's a lot of varied things that are. And a lot of these weren't transgender. I suppose, I mean, my brother was pointing out the ones that were, but it was like only a low percentage, Nicole, very low. Most of them were just cross-dressers or performers, to be honest. So, our daughter is in hospital. She has been, there's some weird induction they do. It's a slow process, apparently, isn't it?
Yeah.
And we're getting information that she's got a little bit of movement at the station. Could be tomorrow or the next day, but I don't think it'll be much more than that. But I'm pretty certain, Nicole, that when the boy is born, because she knows it's a boy, he's not coming out with a dress just yet. Maybe in 10 years, 20 years he might, but you never know. She's big, my God, Nicole. If you saw it coming, you'd probably try and push it back into the ocean. She's huge. I even call her Chunky, affectionately, of course. She can't wait for it to be over now. I love silent film on Chi Chi. Buster Keaton, Charles Chaplin, many others. Some of the great horror movies of the silent era, they were fantastic. Buster Keaton was amazing. He did all of his stunts. Chaplin didn't do all of them, did some, but Buster Keaton did everything. And on a few occasions nearly died in the process. Have you got a photo? Did you send Nicole a pic? Yeah, she's big. But, you know, I don't know if it's just my generation, but a lot of people did make the decision not to have children. Not that they didn't like children, they just didn't want the responsibility, the cost. Very honest. Quite a few people I've known from my generation just made a conscientious decision, we're not having children. Which I can't see the pros for. I don't see the benefits and the reward of not having children. Dr. Caligari. There's heaps of silent movies that have been, I don't know what you call it, when they fix up old movies, what do they call it? Recalibrated for speed, picture. I've watched The Golem. Precious. It doesn't mean you won't have children, Nicole. Doesn't mean it at all. Unless you're that sort of person who says, oh, I'd like to have those twins, they're gorgeous, yes, take them home. And after a week, like a new puppy, you want to take them back because they're really annoying and loud. It's a very big decision to have children, there's no question. No one knows how long they're going to be alive. It's a piece of string, Nicole. You could be 115, and if you say, oh, I had a sort of conversation with an old bloke in Australia when I was a young person saying, I don't know how long I'll be alive. Now I'm 115, my leg's fallen off, my tits fell off, my teeth are falling out, I can't see, and the world's shit. We don't know how long we're going to live. Thomas Edison Frankenstein. I went past 70 with damage it did to my body. God, take 70 any day, Nicole. You know, if we're all in a room and say, 70, anyone want 70? I'll be putting my hand up pretty sharp. We just don't know. It's funny, you know, when you're young, and you all appreciate this, when you see someone who's about 40, you go, oh God, he's old. Check that out. I don't want to get to 40. But when you're about 14 or 15, I want to be 5. They're all having the fun. You're not having any fun as a young kid. So you just want to remain 25 to 30 for the rest of your life. But it doesn't happen. You get old real fast. Time is fleeting. Let's do time. Oh, up again. Just a jump to the left. I went past 60. No male in my family has. Yeah, that's shit. I had a friend who was only like 40. and I was playing cricket. He was on the opposite side. We were still mates. We played sport together in different sports. And he took a catch, threw the ball in, and then just fell over. And we all rushed over. What's going on here? We couldn't see how he hurt himself. Just took a catch. He was out of it. Ambulance was called. And on the way to the hospital, he passed away. He had something terribly go wrong with his aorta. Instantly died. I didn't realise he was dead at the time. The ambulance only took a couple of minutes to get there. So we don't get given a piece of string. And this guy used to do marathons, used to ride mountain bikes all over the country. And at 40, looked about 25, super fit. Need to go to put the slow cooker on making stew. Right, so you've got to put the slow cooker on. So there's 5 or 6 hours. You're just going to sit there and watch it, Nicole. Just say, I'm going, I'm tired of you bastard. See ya. No, I'm going to put a slow cooker on and watch it. That's the worst excuse of the day, Nicole. You win what we call a Wood Duck Award for that statement. I need to go to put the slow cooker on. Okay, here we go. I'm going to do it, Nicole. You ready? Click. It's on. Oh, you got to sort out the food. 3 hours. We're doing it fast then. Anyway, you have a good day. Good to see you. You do have the family record for surviving them there. It's weird. I've known families that have died of the same bloody thing. Heart attacks, diabetes. It's definitely hereditary. Yeah, that's so. Unfortunately, your genetics are what they are.
I'm going to bed.
Slow cooked food is good. Yep, we're going to go. We're going to make a few inquiries, see what's happening with it. We'll let you know when we know. Number 10, the grandbaby coming into the world. I might have to phone Mr. Gates up for a few dollars. He's willing to give me some. All right, good people. I want you to have a good day. If it's daytime, I want those cooking slow to do it with slow and with an attitude. I want you to be happy. If you can't be happy, look at someone else who's happy. At least that will show happiness to you. Stop being miserable. Enjoy life. It's shit sometimes. It happens. I've seen signs from when I was a kid. It said, shit happens. Not all the time, though. Anyway, if it's daytime, enjoy your day. If it's nighttime, go to bed. You're up way too late, because we are. And we'll see you all again another time. Bye-bye.